Can you get results working out only once a week? Yes, but only if you do the following. In other words, most of you will get 0 results working out once a week. But listen to what we're about to say, because if you do this, you will see progress.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Once a week?
Yeah, this came up for me because I actually had a significant percentage of clients towards the back half of my career that only worked with me once a week. Now, of course, they try to be active on their own. They do other things. But they only did one structured workout once a week with me. And of course, they watch their diet and all that stuff. And they all got exceptional results. But I remember I would present this to them and nobody believed that this would even work. The main thing that we focused on, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this, was strength. You can get stronger if you strength train properly once a week. But I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, well, if I only work out once a week, then it has to be so intense, has to be so hard,
everything under the sun,
that it kills me. That's the only way I'll get progress, which is completely false.
I mean, I think you could be incredibly strong and healthy and fit only lifting weights 1 day a week, especially if you incorporate other healthy habits throughout the week.
Of course.
Right? So if you make a conscious effort to walk after meals, if you pick up some sort of activity that's physical, that you like to do, a couple times a week. You make good food choices. You eat adequate protein. You do that with a good routine, a full body routine where you hit the major lifts and you train appropriately, like as far as intensity and volume in that one workout, you can build a very healthy, fit physique.
Well, I think that's what needs to be said, because I mean, it's not like you're just working out that once a week and then the rest you're just laying down and laying on your back and, like that old sort of idea that we need to rest, recover. It's active. It's you're still greasing the groove. You're still contracting the muscles. You're still adding movement. It's just not structured necessarily. But two, you're still making it relevant. And then we focus on that once a week. We can really intensify that with adding load. But yeah, that's going to get you strong because of all of those days in between you can recover.
Yeah. Now, I do think that the mistake that is made is choosing the wrong exercises, right? So I think if you limit yourself to only 1 day of lifting weights in the week, then the importance of what you choose to do, I think, is heightened, right? Like I think if you're lifting 3, 4, 5 days a week, there's a lot of room for lesser exercises and maybe not the best programming because you're doing a lot more. Whereas if I'm going to choose to lift just one time a week, that 50 minutes that I'm in the gym needs to be very impactful. Therefore, the exercise selection becomes really important.
Yeah, I think too, again, I want to emphasize this. That doesn't mean it needs to be this all-out, intense, crazy workout for it to be effective. I think people look at exercise and workouts and they place the value on the calorie burn. So it's how many calories I burn. Now, to be clear, daily activity is good for you for health. Okay, so moving every day throughout the day is just healthy for you. But when it comes to a workout, you're not looking at calorie burn. What you're looking at are adaptations you're trying to induce. And strength is very protective. First of all, you can induce an adaptation for strength with very little. Again, most people once a week. Now, of course, I'm not talking to somebody who wants to be a bodybuilder, who wants to build, this six-pack abs or whatever. But for the average person who wants to develop a healthy, fit body, if you get stronger, which you definitely can with once a week, then it's very protective. Now, you're not burning a ton of calories, but who cares, right? That's not the point. The point is, can I get the body to try to get stronger? And then through that adaptation, what ends up happening is I improve insulin sensitivity. I speed up my metabolism. I build muscle. Yes, you could build muscle once a week. And again, it's not that you're training so hard and so intensely that you're making up for the fact that you're not working out throughout the week. It's still proper application of intensity. It still needs to be appropriate. Too hard even once a week isn't good for you in the sense of getting your results. And you don't need to make up for the lack of days a week of structured workout with high intensity. It just needs to be done properly. Now, you mentioned the best exercises. That's 100%. Like if you do 4 good lifts once a week, if you go in there and you squat and you bench press and you row and you overhead press, like that's 4 really, really good exercises. And if you practice them and do them properly with appropriate intensity, right? So the intensity matches your current fitness level. You watch especially in the first, by the way, for the first 2 or 3 years, following a protocol similar to that with some variation as you progress, you'll see yourself get stronger relatively consistently, especially the first year. You'll see yourself get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I used to love doing this with clients. People would hire me, professionals, executives who didn't have a lot of time, and they would come to me, and one of the big problems I had was time. I'd say, that's okay, we only need to do once a week. And they'd look at me with disbelief. And part of the reason why they would hire me, one, I'm a pretty good salesperson, but two, oftentimes they were referred to me by a friend who told them, no, once a week actually works. They say, okay, let me try this and see what happens. And sure enough, we would add 30 pounds to their squat within 6 months. We would be able to get them to, bench press far more than they were able to do before. Maybe they weren't doing it at all, so now the strength went up quite a bit. And then we could deadlift. And at the end of a year, people would always report and go, "This is crazy. I never thought that my body would change, that I would be able to get leaner, sculpt my body, speed up my metabolism with one dedicated structured workout a week." Now, again, you want to be active every single day. By the way, that's true regardless of how often you work out. If you do 6 structured workouts a week, you did 6 1-hour workouts a week, you still should probably be active throughout the day most days. So that's not the point. The point, again, is can we induce an adaptation like strength with once a week? The data supports this. Our experience supports this. It just needs to be done properly.
I wish you would do this.
to show everybody.
Yeah, well, no, I just think that you would be such a cool experiment because of the foundation that you've built. I suspect you would maintain a way more incredible physique than you think you would maintain.
Oh, I know that.
I bet you could train 1 day a week, and a year from now, you would still look. I bet most people wouldn't even be able to tell the difference of where you're at right now.
Yeah,
that's how much.
I mean, the data shows that, right? It's like one.
This has been my experience.
1/5 of the volume.
This has been my experience the last few years on this podcast. Is my training volume is significantly different. Now, granted, that comes with some drawbacks, right? Admittedly, like I'm not as strong. I'm nowhere near as strong as I was when I was at the peak of my training. I don't have this large variety of training. So one of the pluses of when I was training 5, 6, 7 days a week is I'm doing a lot of mobility stuff. I'm doing a lot of multi-planar stuff. I'm addressing a lot of things. And so I'm not just strong and fit. I'm strong and fit and capable in different directions. And so I'm bolstering this physique. But as from an overall health and an aesthetic purpose, it's crazy to me how little.
That's interesting you said that, because that's honestly been my experience the last 2 years or so, is just like this natural sort of lowering of volume and really just realizing less has been more and has been serving me well. However, the variation has really reduced. And so therefore ankle, certain pains in my hip and certain issues like that. So the caveat, I guess, is that, you get good and I can maintain very well in terms of physique, but in terms of function, to repeat some of these different variations and to go into multiple planes, I am trying to boost up that volume again. I am trying to incorporate that on a more frequent basis, and it's been helping in terms of my joint function and when I'm trying to do things explosively, because it's now I'm one of my kids is in a sport I understand, and I'm trying to teach and model with better movement. I need to work on that better movement, so that part is important to me right now.
Yeah, no, this is you play during the week. I mean, you do your hiking, you do your you go play with your kids, you go on you go to the beach, you do stuff like that, stay active. And this is your 1 day a week of structured strength training. By the way, there's another way to do this, right? You could do what I'm saying, which is a 1 hour or maybe a little more once a week, or you could do 15 minutes a day. This is our MAPS 15. That's right. Our MAPS 15 series of programs. We have our original MAPS 15, which literally is our most popular program by far. Initially, it was popular because people were like, wow, this is cool. Let me try it out. Now it's popular because people are telling their friends, are like, I can't believe
how effective this is.
That's right. So then what we did is we came out with another one, MAPS 15 Performance, which is, again, 15 minutes a day. This one's just more athletic minded than the other one.
Yeah.
And it's essentially what I'm saying. Now, the difference is instead of doing it all in one workout, you're doing 15 minutes a day. Now, I personally like the small daily doses better than the once a week dose for many, many different reasons. Nonetheless, the point remains, very little is required to induce the adaptation for strength and the protective effects that come along with it, muscle gain,
it's reassuring to know that. I
yes.
mean, and I think a lot of people need to understand that that's possible. That's something you can, because too, it's like your environment changes, your work situation changes, like whatever it is, like sometimes all of a sudden availability is the main deterrent. And so to know that you could still at least get an effective, stab at your physique and like maintain your health and fitness with once a week, that's powerful.
Yeah, we had the Christmas party this last week, and
that was a good time.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And my best friend and his wife came, and he hadn't seen me in a few months, and since I did the kind of transformation, and he had just recently hurt his back, and his wife's been trying to encourage him, like, you need to get back to it. You and Adam used to train together and this and that. I said, dude, you don't even need to do that. I said, literally follow what I documented on YouTube. I said, it was 2 exercises a day. Mm-hmm. So literally 2 exercises a day, and you can watch me like transform my body. You'd be so surprised on how little. I said, especially you. I said, you've had a background of lifting. It's not like you've never lifted weights before, and so a lot of that will come back so much easier than you think.
You know what the problem with that old messaging? I say old messaging because old fitness marketing messaging would sell something similar to that. Like, you only need 10 minutes a day. But it was terrible programming, and it was all based on, we're going to beat the crap out of you so hard for 10 minutes. That's why it's effective.
Yeah.
That is not how, first of all, you couldn't burn enough calories in 10 minutes a day to make a difference. Okay, so the calorie burn, the intensity, throw it out the window. What you need to do is, how do I get my body to adapt? How do I get the adaptations that I'm looking for? And you can do that with the right exercise programming. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps, just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show. The right exercise programming will make that happen. And then your body moves in a direction. It adapts in the direction you want. And then you get great results. And that's like the MAPS 15 series, like the original, and MAPS 15 Performance. And again, that's why it's crushing. People bought it because like, 15 minutes a day. Then people are coming back and going, I'm actually advanced. I'm following this program and it's working great for me.
Yeah.
So awesome. I want to ask you, Adam, at the Christmas party, I saw a lot of my cousins talking to you.
Yeah.
When they were there. And So you said you were going to bring something up. I'm assuming this has to do with
They're all, what I love about them is they're the opposite of you when it comes to car stuff.
They're all fanatics.
Very much so. I mean, so you've got all of them there, and though that was the whole conversation, was just all about cars and car models and what are you driving, and I want this and that, and they had found out, obviously on Thanksgiving when you guys did your Thanksgiving workout about the simulator, and that's the first time I had seen them since that had happened. So I was telling them how excited I was that they gave you shit. I was just like, I'm so glad you guys gave to us. And can you believe that guy didn't want to get in on that simulator like that? And they're like, I can't believe him. That's like the baddest thing ever. And what else is he going to spend his money on? He doesn't even know what to spend his money on. I said, I know. That's what I'd be telling him all the time too. So we all ragged on you for like a good, 15, 20 minutes. It was so good. Speaking of that, so I got introduced to the founder of, I think Extreme Experience is the brand name. Is that right, Doug?
Correct.
Extreme Experience. Guy's name is Adam. Also, I love when I meet founders like this. We had a listener of ours that Extreme Experience is a client of theirs. He's a big fan of the show. He reached out to me, got connected to me via email. We got on the phone, started talking. He says, "Hey, I know Adam with Extreme Experience. I've gotten to know you. I just think you guys will hit it off. Let me put the phone call together." And it took about a month or two for us to finally connect, and we did, and it was like, and I'm always like, and I totally
this is what we're taking the team to do.
Yes, so I'm getting there, right? So this is like one of these situations where I love to meet people like this, and you never know when you get on calls like this, like what is this person going to want from me? And I started the call like, hey, let me tell you, I'm a car enthusiast. I love what you're doing. I said, I've already done and paid for the experience. I plan to do it again. I'd love to take my team down there. I'm not looking for anything from you, but I just feel like I'm into all this stuff. I said, some of my co-hosts are really into this stuff. I said, so maybe we could do something together. And not expecting anything. And then he calls back and he's like, we're going to be close to you guys up in Sonoma Raceway in December. He's like, why don't you bring the whole staff down? And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. So we're heading down there, I think the 21st of this month.
Correct.
Yeah. So our entire team
sick.
is going to have, drive Lamborghinis, Ferraris, McLarens, whatever you want to drive.
I love that I can invite my
Racing
dad.
around some fast cars.
You know how excited my dad was?
Oh, I bet
it's like a dream of his.
I know. I can't wait to see him light up. Yeah. I'm actually going to bring my stepdad with me too, so it'll be cool how the dad's down there. And your dad won't fit in.
My dad's too big.
He won't fit in any of those.
Get the convertible.
Yeah.
All right, so we're racing these cars around the track.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah. So it'll be like
awesome.
It'll be similar to like the last experience we did in Las Vegas. Only we'll do it at Sonoma. Sonoma is a way cooler track.
Yeah.
Way cooler
it's a
track.
Sick track.
Way more. Like the track we did was like this little kind of.
Are they gonna keep track again to see who's the fastest?
Of course.
You're trying to get.
I mean, here's what I was talking to. I was talking to Doug about this the other day. I haven't decided if I'm gonna rent a car so I can beat you guys, or rent a car that I want to drive because I've never driven it before. I'm more interested in, believe it or not,
and depending on how well you do, you'll tell us after.
That's right.
I lost.
No, you'll know. You'll know if I'm trying to beat you guys if I pick like the GT3 RS, if I pick a car or a car that I'm very familiar with, right, to race around the track, because that makes all the difference on those cars.
Of course.
Knowing the braking, the steering, what you can, the limits you can push. I
just can't forget.
I'll do that.
The driver taking us around an SUV and just you quickly realizing there's a whole
driver plays
level.
A big factor.
Oh yeah, bro. In an SUV, I'm like this. There's a whole nother level to like how people drive.
I was watching. I watch a lot of car content, and I was watching an interview from a pro racer, and he was talking about people like myself who would consider themselves car enthusiasts, right? But I'm not a real race car driver. And he's like, 99% of most people will never really fully understand the difference between so many of these models of these cars, because they go up when you get from a supercar, which would be like a Ferrari 488, or then you get to like a hypercar, which now you're getting into like the SVJ, SF90, the 918 Spider. These are like $1 million cars. The difference in each one of those stages is really in the 5% more that
you can only tell if you know how to get that.
Yes.
Level. Yeah.
So unless you know how to get 95% of that,
you're already squeezing the maximal amount at the low level.
Then
like
you can tell.
Then you really,
like average person would have no idea.
That's right. Like, so the difference between me driving a $400,000 supercar versus me driving a $2 million hypercar is nothing to me.
Much.
It's irrelevant, because I don't even have the capabilities to take the first car to its absolute limits to appreciate what the hypercar can do. And so he was talking about that. It's such a true point, because I remember, and I tell this story all the time, my first experience of taking that pista into the corner, and the guy laughing at me that I wasn't going to get loose, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, I want to learn how if it gets loose. And he's just like, and I didn't, but it really is. I was the limiting factor. The car could do so much more, but I was so scared to push that fast, because my brain, in any other circumstance out in the real world of driving normal cars into a corner, you kind of know, all of us have probably taken a corner before where it gets a little hairy and you're like, whoa, that was a little too much. Like, or felt like the car's gonna tip over or slid out a little bit. And you're like, so these cars are designed to push so beyond that. And so when you go into that, you don't have, I don't know. You don't have
no reference point.
Yeah, there's no reference point. Thank you. Where I can go like, okay, I could do this much more in it, because you've never felt anything like that. And so it really is you are the limiting factor when driving those things around those tracks.
That's a good time. So I got to bring up a crazy study for you guys on Viagra.
Random transition.
I always get excited when you bring the Viagra.
Dude, so this is when did this get published? I can't tell when it's got. I think it's a recent study that came out. Viagra increases muscle protein synthesis 200% from workouts.
Dude, you know what's so interesting about that?
200%.
What's interesting
from
about
workouts.
that is how long that has been in the bodybuilding community.
I know, dude. They're always ahead.
They are.
They're always ahead.
There's another example of how much we talk shit about the bros. They've been popping Viagra pills before workouts.
I know.
Wow.
30 years ago.
But it's 200% is a big one. So it's so, you know what's funny about these PDE5 inhibitors is they're turning out to be these kind of like these really, dare I say, healthy medicines because of their they're healthy for the vascular system.
Yeah.
They seem to be good for prostate health, and athletes have been using them for a while. And protein synthesis, 200%. That's like a big deal.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell after a week, but if you use them on a regular basis working out, I mean, that's a performance enhancing drug. I wonder, do they even test for Viagra?
Now, what's your
sports organizations?
Now, because that's different.
What's it classed? Vasodilators?
It's a vasodilator, yeah.
And because it's a vasodilator, and that's different than you just taking testosterone. Then imagine the guy who's like 65 and he's got ED and he takes testosterone, then he takes Viagra. Like that dude is like primed to like flip, literally go from like not being able to build muscle, all of a sudden building like this ultimate physique.
Well, what's funny to me is if it is a banned substance in sports organizations, what you probably see now are a lot of athletes claiming to have erectile dysfunction. You know what I mean? Oh no, I need this medicine.
I have to.
I can't get boners. That's what's going on. It is not
necessary.
It is not on the committee's list of prohibited drugs. I wonder how many of them use it.
I know, right?
Yes, because do you know how many of? I remember. So albuterol.
Wouldn't you think, Sal, that there is? If we know this about that, I just feel like we're so far ahead in like the doping game, the underground world, than what we know, right? Like I would think that we've already figured out something that is Viagra-like but better that they're probably taking.
Well, Viagra is short acting. So Viagra you take and it's in and out of your system. I mean, they have other forms of PDE5 inhibitors that last 24 hours. So you take it. And it's just all day long.
Right.
It just lasts.
So there's probably stuff that they're using that's different.
Yeah, dude, but it's funny to me that it does.
Was that a recent study? Or are you just
I don't know if it was recent or not. I was trying to find when my cousins shared it with me, and I was laughing. I'm like, oh, great. Is this your excuse for taking it?
Yeah. I want to bring all the studies home, honey.
First, why don't you lift weights first?
Talking about sports, either one of you guys, are you guys following all the NIL stuff and everything like that? What's going on?
No.
Like it's really reshaping sports for us. It's going to be interesting where it's going to be in the next 10 to 20 years. I've seen a lot of coaches come forward that are like college level coaches saying that how difficult and how unexciting it is to coach college kids now.
Why?
Because of NIL deals. Because they have this prima donna attitude like pro athletes now.
Oh, God.
And you have some of these coaches came out and I just watched him in an interview. He's talking about you get this kid who gets a kid in college
making more than you,
making a couple $1 million, and they have these attitudes of like, I'm going to make $1 million next 2 years, and who cares whatever happens in the league? They don't have this drive to like prove themselves or make the big contract in the league. They know $2 million is a lot of money, and they can set themselves up right, and they're getting it already before they get there. That it's changing their work ethic and their attitude around the sport, and then how
team dynamic. That's got to be hard to handle for sure.
Yes, they have this attitude of like, hey, I'm already getting paid $2 million for this. I'll just show up who I am. I'm not going to work any harder. I'll go take my shot at the league. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then who cares? I've already got my million something I invested in this. I'll be fine at this age. Like,
how long has that been happening? How long did they last?
We're only on.
Like,
look up when it in ideal.
2 or is this like
a little bit longer than 2 years now? I think we're on year 3 now.
Yeah, because we got to wait and see, right? Let's wait and see. What happens? Because the other side of that is you get these college athletes.
2021. So
it's really because their careers are so like abruptly like stopped, and that was like a lot of their value going into it.
Because
so it's not necessarily by the way, too, me bringing this conversation up is not me harping things saying it's necessarily a bad thing, because it was happening anyways. It was just illegal.
They just made it illegal.
It was backdoor deals happening, or buying a Mercedes-Benz for your mom or a house for your father, it's been happening.
I can see from the coaching perspective, if it's like highlighted as like, okay, this is something that you're going to want to have, and it's like, now it's all out in the open, and it's going to be in your face, and everybody's going to come into the meetings and practice, like, paying attention to what they're making.
The part for me that sucks is I know a few people who were great college athletes, had potential for right? Because you never know, right? For professional sports, got injured. That was it. They were done.
Yeah.
And so had they been able to get paid, because it's not like you're not busting your ass in college playing D1 sports.
Sure.
And it's not like you're not risking your life and your health in college sports.
Right. Yeah.
So it just makes sense to me, that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not against it. It's just interesting how it's reshaping. And now you have two. So big money. So it's big in the big, like Patrick Bet-David, right? Last year bought shares in the Yankees, right? So it's a big deal. Buying a sports team is like the billionaire game, right? Now it's going to move into college. So you have these.
Oh, wow.
Now you're going to have actual like billionaires that will go out and either buy shares or buy complete college teams. Now the money's all out in the open, and it's an actual business, and it generates millions and millions of dollars with these athletes. And so now you're going to start having it influenced now by outside money like this too. So it's just complete. It's just, it's almost like just the professional level is just being extended.
Yeah.
You know, it's like now pro really starts just after high school, which also means probably what we're going to see is high school kids getting,
oh my God,
you know, bags of money and when they're not.
Well, they're not adults. That's different. They're minors.
I mean, exactly. But I mean, that's how it'll happen, right? I mean, that'll be the next layer to this will be like, go find the kid who's 16, who's dominant. Cause
pay his parents.
Yeah. Cause some of these athletes, I mean, you could tell at a young age. I mean, they just, yeah, but they look like men amongst little boys at 16
That's
years
when
old.
you know.
Yeah. You see him. I don't know if you guys ever seen like videos and stuff of like Wimby when he was like his age, and like when he was like a teenager, he was already like mid 6 foot something, almost 7 foot. Like, yeah, you just see him like holding the ball and like the kids like running around.
Man amongst the little tiny kids. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's a physically like he's such a phenomenon as far as not just that tall, but that tall with the athleticism that he has is so rare.
It's rare.
It's funny you brought this up because Everett had his first like basketball practice, and so it's like 6th grade to 8th grade. That's like the range of this rec league, and so obviously there's gonna be kids that are huge, and some kids are tiny, and so Everett's on that tiny spectrum. And hasn't even played like the real version of basketball and the organized basketball. And so I was just like, oh, you know, that's when I'm on the sidelines, like coaching, like just him. I'm just like giving him little bits. And I'm like, I was trying to make sure I didn't overdo it too, because it's just like, oh my God, I was like so nervous for him. And then he did great. He has really good athleticism, and he's like keeping up with everybody. He does not know what to do, you know? And it's just like, oh my God, I didn't even consider that. And I understand, because you go back and you kind of think like, am I doing the right thing? Like, am I keeping him here in this sport? And then I'm going to do this. And like, I have this whole trajectory for him, you know, laid out, and I'm trying to like usher this in. But then I'm like, oh man, like some of these kids have been playing since they were out of the womb, and they're just dribbling and crossover, no look passes. And, you know, they have a kid on their team that's like basically could touch the rim, you know, and I'm just like, oh my God, dude, this is going to be wild.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's crazy. There are some kids that way stand out. It's just obvious, you know, right away.
Dude, we're moving into, you know, getting close to Christmas. I read something so interesting today on the difference between Christmas, Xmas, so now you can do Xmas, and Happy Holidays. And I did not know that they're all based on like the foundation of Christmas. So in other words, when people say Xmas or Happy Holidays, it's all based on the same thing. So I'll tell you the history, right? So Xmas, X is the Greek letter for CHI, chai, and the first letter of the word Christos, which means anointed one. So early Christians used the X as a covert way of communicating with one another in areas of intense persecution.
Oh,
so
wow.
Still, harkens back.
Yeah.
Later, switching out the movable type of a printing press was expensive and time-consuming, so substituting Christ with X helps save both time and money. So writing Xmas is not taking Christ out of Christmas.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because somebody made a comment underneath me putting Xmas. I put Xmas party 2024, and someone put in quotation Christmas, and I knew it was like. And of course, if I look at their bio, it's like Philippians 3:14. I was just like, okay, it's like
it still goes back to Christ. It still goes back to Christ. What about Happy Holidays? People are like, oh, Happy Holidays because I'm not a whatever. That goes back to the.
We're not talking about Santa.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what about Happy Holidays? Right? People will say Happy Holidays. Well, I'm not religious, right? I'll say Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to the 1800s, appearing in Christmas advertisements in various newspapers. The word holiday is a combination of the words holy and day. It comes from the word Heiligdag, which essentially means a consecrated day.
Right now.
They're like,
it's like Gesundheit.
I can't get away.
So holiday refers to a holy, set apart day. So say whatever you want, everybody. I read that today.
Hollandaise sauce.
This is great.
Bro, you want funny? Here's a funny Christmas.
There's nothing you can say. You know?
Wow, funny Christmas story. So we did the white elephant gift, right, for our staff.
Oh yeah.
So Max saw Katrina wrapping those gifts for us for the white elephant gift, and Max was like, "What are you guys doing?" She was explaining to him that it's a game at daddy's work. All his employees are playing. It's called White Alpha. So she's trying to explain to him what it is. And he's like, why? He doesn't understand, right? What is it? I don't understand. It's a game. It's a game. Kept telling him. So anyways, I come home from work after that day, and he was like right away, Daddy, did you win the game? And I'm like, huh? And Katrina looked at me. She's like, he's talking about the White Alpha game. And I go, oh no, Daddy lost the game. And he goes, you lost? Who won? And I said, and you remember when we did the White Alpha and that Cole stole my, he stole my Caldera kid or whatever like that. So he stole it. And I said, this new kid that works for Daddy, his name's Cole. He goes, he stole it from you? I said, yeah, he stole Daddy's gift. And so he pretty much won the White Alpha. And he goes, are you going to fire him? And I go, should I? He goes, yeah, you should fire him. So I just kind of laughed it off with that. Katrina like rolls her eyes. Next day comes around and he's like getting dropped off at school. Mommy, did Daddy fire Cole yet? Did Daddy fire Cole yet? No, son, I don't think he's going to fire. I think he was kidding. No, he told me he would fire him. I'm waiting for him to come in and say something in front of Cole, and Cole be like, what's going on?
My dad's going to fire you.
You give him a compliment. When Max coming in, which one is Cole?
Not yet, son. Oh my God.
Funny.
Speaking of all these gifts and stuff, so have you guys I'm sure you haven't, right? Have you recently, because I had an aunt that gave me some CBD from some other company type of deal, and she gave me a bunch of them to take to kind of relax. Felt nothing.
Trash.
Nothing.
Most
you feel nothing. There's such a difference between Ned and other CBD products that I think the other CBD products are either fake.
It's just like oil. Like I don't even know.
I'll tell you what,
I think they're fake.
Oh no, I'll tell you.
I don't even think they have CBD.
Like vegetable oil.
I'll tell you what
something.
it is. Okay, because they all fall under the supplement category. It's not highly regulated. Because marijuana and cannabis can be very expensive, especially to distill it down to its purest version and like to get real good quality with no plant matter in it to make it really, I mean, there's a process to that and it's not cheap and it costs a lot of money. And the average person who can't tell the difference of any of those won't know the difference. And because there's no one that's regulating them to do that, you have to have integrity in that space to actually produce a product like that.
Because here's the deal. I want people to know this. You'll feel if it's real or not. Yeah. If you take a CBD product, so if you take Ned and you take an appropriate dose, 30 minutes to an hour later, you'll know you took something. If you don't feel anything from a CBD-based product, it's probably either massively underdosed or fake.
Yeah.
It's fake. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It just trips me out because I never feel anything.
Or it's got tons of plant matter in it, low quality. I mean, there's a million things it can be. But in order for it to feel and be like what Net is like that, that's an expensive.
It's gotta be potent.
It's an expensive process to do that. The purifying process and the machines that it takes to do that, to distill it down to that purity, it costs a lot of money. And a lot of companies would rather just make it quick and easy and mass volume and sell it for 50% of the price because their margins are better than someone like
rely on the
Ned.
placebo effect.
Yep.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. Look, are you lifting weights, eating a ton of food, and struggling? You're not packing on any muscle. You're not building any muscle at all. You're not getting stronger. Well, check it out. We have a hard gainer guide. This can be your ultimate resource to turn that around. Pack on some muscle mass with our hard gainer guide. It's totally free. You can get it by downloading it, clicking on the link in the description below.
Did I tell you guys I was in my first parade ever?
What?
Was
that the boat parade thing you did?
Yeah,
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. So
I saw that on your Instagram.
You were in a parade.
It was so random because so we got invited, like our friends, and they actually came to the Christmas party, and so I was like already tired because we got home at like 2, whatever, and so I was like, not real excited to do anything the next day. And they're like, you know what? This is the first year they have a fishing boat, and it's there in the harbor, and they were like, we're gonna do this instead of just watching it, because Courtney got to go last year and they watched, and it's a really cool event where all the boats, they do it up and they make a theme out of it, put lights, and then parade them around the harbor. And so I knew that. I didn't even know that was there, for one. I always went to like Vasona and did that thing. This shit's all over Vasona.
Yeah.
And so my first time, I go on the boat and I'm just thinking I'm gonna take it in and check it out or whatever. And he's like, oh no, he's got Santa suits for everybody, so we got to put these things on. And then I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. I'll get in the festivities, and then we start going around and we're getting judged. And so we have to have like, a whole dancing routine and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, what? It was like, I felt like Ferris Bueller. All of a sudden now we have to like, crowd play and do all this stuff. And anyways, like the first time he even entered it, he won like 2 categories like out of this thing. So it was pretty rad.
The one that you were on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
that's great.
Yeah,
I like how Justin
crushed it.
I like how Justin's acting like I don't want to do it. You put this on a dance. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You twist my arm.
Now we're talking. Yeah. No,
I wonder why they won, Justin.
You should have seen.
It was sick though.
Oh,
The audience seen these boats.
The audience will know that's right because this will have aired after this. So the audience has probably seen the ad for Maps 15 Performance, right? So it's for sure it's out by now.
Yes,
and the look on poor Justin's face when he found out that I was going to be Darth Vader. You can tell he was trying to.
Adam hadn't showed up yet. And they're like, you know what? He's not here. Do you want to put the Darth Vader suit on? And I was like,
Justin's like, absolutely. I'll play both parts. I'll play both parts.
Hey, who was it that had it on? I was getting interviewed, and you guys always
That was
do this
me.
to me.
That was me.
Always, and listen, you've mooned me before.
I was going over.
we've all mooned you at least a handful of
I
times.
was thrusting
every
the door.
time
I
I'm
was
on-
thrusting the door over here in my Darth Vader costume.
with his cod piece, just bam.
He's hitting it with every time I'm getting interviewed, not every time, but often.
If I would have known it was someone I've asked and I found out it was someone we didn't know really well. If it was someone I knew, you
would have come on the
I
camera?
would have came in. I would have came in for sure. But because I asked, I was like, "Who's Sal interviewing with it?" And it wasn't somebody I knew. I was
10
like,
years. Have I broken character?
No, you
Never.
haven't.
No,
Yeah,
you
you
have an ability with that.
Although I really
fucked
thought I
with you
could have
a few
got you at that
times.
one. I was like,
Yeah.
that would have definitely thrown you off. That
No, there was one time. I mean, early days, I was doing I was on a show. It was just probably like year number 4 or 5, and he just presses his ass up right against the glass.
I feel like it's only the times where we're like, interviewing somebody together where I could break you sometimes. You could break me. It just gets like there's something that had been said that nobody else catches, and I'm always like, oh,
That's when I don't make eye contact. So I'll look at Justin, and be like, oh no, and I'll start looking at Adam.
Yes.
I can't.
No, the best for me is when Justin does his one-liners and interviews, and
Nobody catches it.
It's just
they're just
crickets.
You can't. You even had a little bit of
kills
one.
me
You had
inside.
one today. What did you say today? You said something real quick.
I was talking about like
What was it?
sandals. I think.
Birkenstocks.
Yes, Birkenstock. You
Yeah.
said that, and you could see she turned and looked over at you, and it was just like right over her head.
She kept going, and I just stopped. I'm done.
Nothing.
I will say though, I had such a great conversation talking to her. What a great interview. Erica, what's Erica's last name?
Komisar.
Yeah, we saw her at the ARC event and was so cool. A couple of things made me feel really good, right? I know that, I've talked a little bit on here about it. Secretly, it keeps me up at night, right? Like I recognize that there's so many awesome things about my kid, and I feel like Katrina and I have done a lot of things really well. I'm also very highly aware that I'm probably missing somewhere. There's probably something I overcome. Like, what is that as a
nobody's
dad?
perfect.
Right. So I'm like, I'm trying to become aware of that as fast as I possibly can. And the thing that stands out to me the most is like, okay, I have this kid who's going to be sensitive and he's going to be soft and he's going to be all these things. But I do feel much better after talking to her because I really do feel like we did a lot of these things that our society has told us the opposite of, with the really being there for him emotionally when he was ever like that he's been so consistent and he regulates his emotion like an adult. It's unbelievable. It's so unbelievable. And it's one of my favorite traits about him. And after listening to her talk on the show, it's like, man, maybe we did a lot of those things the right way. And maybe I'm
very eye-opening conversation.
And maybe I'm way okay. Maybe he's nowhere near where I need to toughen him up yet. Maybe we haven't even approached that age yet where I need to get that grit and he needs to have all this adversity, because I've been thinking like that since day one. And after listening to her, that's not even what's important in those first 3 years. Those first 3 years, it's way more important that I'm there for him whenever has these moments where he's uncertain or scared or whatever. And that was something that I thought we did really, really good. So listening to her made me feel really good on that. And then it also made me feel good about being wrong with my wife, because if there was something that we disagreed on early on, was his sleep method. And I really came from the camp of, let him cry. He'll build his independence. Let him, he'll be all right. He'll be fine. Don't worry. He'll stop. And her, her intuition and instinct was like, nah, I ain't having it. And my attitude was like, okay, like if you're going to manage the nights and you really want to go get them. And so I really didn't step in, although I disagreed and thought we should do it the other way. Looking back now, she was definitely right. I was definitely wrong in that situation. Thank God that she didn't listen to me and that she let her motherly instincts take over.
Speaking of kids, did you see that the FDA is going to potentially, we don't know yet, outlaw, certain food dyes coming up? They're going to do a review.
You mentioned the red
dye is the big one. Red dye number 3. They're going to look at it.
Is there a new, leader in the FDA? Did they appoint somebody new, or is it the same?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, but I do know that the food dye argument,
for sure.
The food dye argument is really starting to heat up. And I tell you what, man.
Yeah, it is.
I can see it in. I mean, I'm not. I won't say too much. I don't call anybody out, but I know a family with a kid who I saw what happened. We all ate these foods, and there was definitely some of them were dyed foods, and the kid became unmanageable. And I could see it, and I told them, I'm like, your kid might have an intolerance to some of these food dyes. They're like, they can actually become excitotoxins to some kids. I told you, my daughter, my 2-year-old, when she got sick once, we gave her Tylenol, and she didn't sleep all night. She was acting weird all night, goofy and wired all night. And my wife and I were like, what is going on? And then I'm like, I wonder if it was the dye in the Tylenol. So then we gave her Tylenol dye-free, and it was a totally different experience.
That's wild.
Wild. So, yeah, dude. So they're going to do this kind of review, but we'll see what the FDA does. I know that these dyes are banned in other countries.
Yeah.
Here, apparently, we just let them go crazy.
You know what else is about to be banned? Jay-Z.
What do they say?
Look out. Look out.
Well, it's a lawsuit.
99 problems. But,
it's a lawsuit that got filed.
Okay, so explain if for something to become like public like that, and like, can just anyone sue and have no grounds, or they can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was a 13-year-old girl apparently.
It's like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, was it like a lawsuit before they got retracted? Now is back because of the controversy with Diddy?
I'm not sure, but I know it was Jay-Z, Diddy, and another celebrity was in the room that they haven't named yet. Apparently, there's 3 people.
There's going to be a lot of interesting information that's going to come out.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, innocent until proven.
Sure.
Right? So we'll see what happens. But holy cow, man! If this is true,
a lot of shakeups.
A lot of shakeups, dude. There's a lot of speculation around.
Yeah, really. I didn't know that. I didn't realize it could make the news like that as just from someone suing like that.
That's the crappy part. Is that somebody could come after you, and the news would report it, and then of course public opinion is like, you did it, right?
Yeah, no matter what. Like you're screwed. Like he's screwed no matter what.
Yeah, if he wins the case, he's still gonna have tarnished.
Yeah,
right? He's still totally tarnished.
Wow.
And there's been a lot of cases like that. There's been a lot of cases where it was a false, especially when you're a celebrity. And I'm not taking a side because my personal opinion is that whole world is probably there's guilty of a lot of stuff. Yeah. But also if you're successful and wealthy and well known, you're a target. So I don't know, man. Crazy stuff. I do know that there's like ever since Diddy got busted, some of these celebrities like disappeared, moved out of the country.
There's only a couple like that. I only heard like 1 or 2, dude.
Ellen was one of them, right?
Yeah, it's like 1 or 2.
DiCaprio, I think, took off.
I don't know. I mean, that's like
did DiCaprio take off?
There's so many famous people, and then to leave it that's too much of correlation bullshit, bro. I don't like that.
You think so?
Yeah, come on. Like, okay, do the math on how many big name celebrities there are in the entire world. Yeah. There's only so many months in the year, so every month there's probably a celebrity moving or leaving the country. So it's like such a random.
It's just a weird thing, though, right? Why would you leave permanently? And
But my point is that there's always somebody leaving permanently.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's enough celebrities that it'd be different if like 50 of them, you know what I'm saying, all at one time and they were out. Like that would be, but 1 or 2.
I don't know, man. Leaving. All I know is Diddy got caught with 1,000 bottles of lube. So, I mean, that's just weird, bro. Okay, you ain't using that by yourself.
No, that definitely.
There's a lot of celebrity parties with that.
Did you guys see the Tuah girl? Did you see
what did she do? She did
a coin. She did a blockchain. She did a rug pull, bro.
Who the hell convinced her to do this?
She did a rug pull.
So hold on, how does that work? Okay, explain that to me.
So
she launches a blockchain.
So this is a popular thing that all these famous people are getting in trouble for, where they do these rug pulls, where they create a coin. By the way, the people who probably influenced her to do it were actually all the developers, because they found out that 96% of all the money spent to drive the coin up to like millions of dollars were the developers.
Sure.
So it was a total ruse. So they created the Tuah coin or whatever, drove up like millions of dollars, and then pulled the rug. Yeah, millions.
What do you mean pulled the rug? They sold theirs.
They sold out. They sold out, and then it just plummeted right afterwards.
And there's no laws against that?
Yeah, there's laws against that.
Okay, it's like pump and dump, right? For stock.
She's gonna be fucked. Yeah, she's like that, which is so crazy because
I feel bad for her. Maybe she.
I know she got convinced.
She seems
to do that,
like she's like not innocent, but gullible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like some young kind of like.
She liked the fame, obviously, and has been doing the podcasting based off of just one interview.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good guess, Sal. That, I mean, she's probably pretty gullible. Probably some people that found her as an easy mark to convince. Hey, you can make all this money. We'll develop it. We'll do all of it. We'll drive the price. We'll drive it all up. You'll make this. We'll make that. Like. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the full story yet. That's what I know that she made the coin. I know that the developers were like responsible for 96% of the purchases. So they're the ones that drove it up. I know they pulled the rug, sold it all off, and then I know she's in trouble for it now. So, but I mean, talk about like ruining your potential career.
I feel
after that.
I feel bad. I feel bad for young people who get suddenly famous because I think a lot of young people think, oh, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know, name me a young person that suddenly became famous that turned out okay. They're hard to think of. They're hard to find, right? It's usually turned out terribly.
Yeah.
It's a curse because you're going to get targeted by all these people who want to take advantage of you. You're going to feel like you're loved, and then you're falling out of favor, so now you're not loved anymore. You're going to be exposed to all this craziness.
You skipped the best part. I mean, you talk about it all the time. You're the journeyman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Right?
If the most important part of success, of getting fit, of many things, right, is the process and the journey to get there.
That's what gives you the wisdom.
Yeah. And the reward of it, right? The struggle, the pitfalls, the hardships, the setbacks, like that's actually that's the secret sauce. That's what makes it so great, is to go through all that. You have this overnight success and this windfall of money after that and fame. Yeah. You skip the journey and you go right to the destination. Yeah. And it's just like,
you get addicted to the outcome instead
and temporarily,
of the
material things and money can fill a void for a little while, but then after a while, it's like you become numb to that stuff. I would hate to be in that. So it's crazy to think that. Like I'm old enough now and wise enough to know that, right? Like I would not want to be able to just buy anything and everything I want. Like that would suck. Half of the fun is like I have to work and save and get better and learn more, and in order to achieve those things, that I recognize that is the part that I actually enjoy. If I just got it, it would be lame.
Especially one of those trust fund kids, and everybody else knows you're a trust fund kid, and then you're like, "Hey, look at this! What I got!" Like, of course you got that.
Yeah.
Well, remember that.
Doesn't mean anything.
That data that I brought up on charity. I've been going down that rabbit hole of like worldly things that give us pleasure. There's a novelty effect that wears off, which is why they all become. It's like quenching your thirst with seawater. So what ends up happening is, okay, buying cool things are exciting, and then it goes away real quick, and I have to buy something different, maybe bigger, to get that same feeling. Then it goes away, and I keep doing that. Just like drugs, happens with sex, happens with fame, it happens with power. You got to keep chasing, get this kind of feeling. But the virtues that spiritual processes will tell you are valuable, like charity, like struggle, like sacrifice, like being humble, doesn't wear off. Yeah, it doesn't wear off. That's actually where you find
there has to be something to be happiness. Said. There has to be something to be said too, though, Sal, about like the journey on the way to get, like, let's say those things has to play a role too in the novelty effect and or the lasting effect of that. Like, for example, like there's many things that I have set as like these monetary or materialistic goals in my life where I said, oh, I want that thing, and I know that it's going to take me years potentially to work for and get it, and then I achieve it, right? And I truly appreciate it. Even years later, I look at that thing or I use that thing.
Yeah, because it represents the work.
So that's what I mean. So there's got to be something to be said about, if it was a hard enough journey to get to that thing,
that's just it. It's not the thing. It's not the thing at all. I think when somebody accomplishes something, they'll tell you
It just reminds you of it, really.
Yeah.
They'll tell you the same thing. Like you hear stories of like people like Elon Musk, right? Like one of the richest people in the world, and he lives in like he lived in like this tiny house forever, and he moved from friend's house to friend's house, and because he's got so much money, but why does he keep doing what he's doing, type of deal? Obviously, I'm not using him as an example of like perfection, but just an example of kind of to illustrate what I'm talking about. But again, if you look at like the virtues that the spiritual practices, the world spiritual practices or religions will talk about, look at the data on them. That's actually they figured it out. They actually figured it out. It's not the pleasure you find in material things or sex or drugs or any of those things. Those you chase those and you'll die. In fact, if you never get those things, you're better off than getting them. This is why celebrities do so terribly, because there's a lot of people in the world that chase them for the rest of their life and they don't feel good and they do terribly because they chase them their whole life. But they actually do better than celebrities that accomplish them. Like you get to the top of the pinnacle, you're like, I can sleep with anybody. I can do any drug I want. I have all this money. I have all this fame. And their suicide rate is like through the roof.
Yeah.
The ones that compromise their morals and integrity to get to the thing.
Yes.
They're gonna have to reconcile that big time.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So it's a very interesting, and here I am saying this to a 45-year-old man. I think if you're young, you're like, yeah, I'll deal with that when I get there.
Oh yeah, there's no way anyone, including myself, convinces me at that point. I had to go feel it. I had to. There's no way. I don't care how smart, how wise, how much respect I had for you. If you told me that,
don't touch that stove, it's hot.
Yeah, I got to go check and see how hot it is. 100%. At least for something like that.
Yeah.
Especially because I think, at least in my situation, I felt like so much of the turmoil and stuff that I saw growing up was related to not having, being able to provide the financial thing, and so it was
had to see it yourself.
Yeah, I had to go see And I think the lesson for me really was like absolutely solving that equation really does eliminate a lot of problems, but it doesn't fix everything, right? Yeah. Or it doesn't make you happy. So it's like it definitely eliminates like, oh, okay, well I definitely will never be fighting with my wife. Can we afford dinner? Or can we that's definitely never a fight, right? It'll never be a fight. But it doesn't necessarily.
But you don't get rid of fights.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that my wife and I are perfect because we have other challenges and other things. So it just manifests in different ways. So, but I needed
making money solves money problems.
You're right.
That's it. It solves no other problems but money problems.
Yeah, yeah. It does. If used in the right vehicle, it can also be that the giving part. That's it. Because one of my favorite things. But again, remember the story is to share with people. Like there's nothing more exciting than to take somebody for a ride or take the family to a trip on vacation. That is the most.
Yeah, I know I'm going to mess this up. Again, you can look at these practices for this. And there's a story where Jesus is referring to this woman who's a widow who gives very little and talks about how she's more charitable than the wealthy people who are giving more than she is because she's giving more. She's giving more as much as she can.
That's right.
So you could help more people with more money, but it depends on where it comes from and how it comes from you. You know what I mean? Anyway, interesting stuff. I was going to bring up Luminos by Entera. So this is their skincare product. They've refined their formulation. Here's what's interesting with this. The peptide space of skincare is exploding right now. It's absolutely exploding, but very few products have the adequate doses of peptides to make a difference because they're hard to get. Most companies don't. They use the same old, retinol and stuff like that. Very few companies actually have the real deal peptides that get your skin to regenerate, to build collagen, to look younger type of deal. Anyway, if you go on their website, the reviews on their products are ridiculous. People are just like, this is crazy.
Didn't peptides kind of originate in the skincare space first? Isn't that
the problem with the word peptide is it's like such a broad category. Because you ask somebody, what's a peptide? I think the definition is a string of amino acids put together. It's like, okay, cool.
Signaler.
Yeah, that could be so many different things. But I'm talking about the real deal peptides that you're seeing that really make a difference. Like you use them on your skin and you could tell within a few applications.
Yeah.
That is very hard to find. But Luminos got it. They've got that stuff. So
quality stuff for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to this really cool page that, so you guys, when I earlier talked about Christmas and, you know, so there's this page, it's Ian Simkins. So IANSIMKINS. And he does a lot of these posts. They are Christian based, but it's a lot of factual, interesting things like the one that I brought up today on Christmas, which I did not know. It's a great follow. It's really interesting. My wife loves his content. She's always sharing it with me. So I thought I'd give him a share. I'd give him a shout out. Holiday season is here. I know I'm probably going to drink a little more alcohol than I normally do. So I'm happy I have Pre-Alcohol by Zbiotics. Now, this is a probiotic that is genetically modified to break down acetaldehyde in my gut. What does that mean? Well, I take pre-alcohol, then I drink with my friends. The next day, I feel normal. If you go through our link, you will get 15% off. Go to zbiotics.com. That's zbiotics.com/mindpump24. Use the code mindpump24. Get 15% off. All right, back to the show.
Our first caller is Samantha from Alaska.
Hey, Samantha. How can we help you?
Hi. Thank you guys so much for taking my call today. Huge fan. My 2-year-old son is your biggest fan. Right. We listen to you guys in the truck because we have like at least a half hour to an hour drive everywhere we go. And he, as soon as he hears the intro, he shouts Mind Pump. And I'm pretty sure Justin is his favorite because he only shouts Justin's name.
Yes, everybody's my guy. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So my question, is about not being able to progress my bench press, but I can with dumbbells. My numbers have changed a little bit because I did write this question back at the end of July. So I'm struggling to progress with adding any more weight to the bar in my bench press. I've continued to progress up in weight with my dumbbell bench press. And at this point, I can lift the same amount of weight with the barbell versus the dumbbells. And actually at this point, I'm lifting more with the dumbbells than I can with the barbell. I capped out at about 90 pounds with just straight regular bench. And that was for a max of like 1 or 2 reps. But I can use the 45-pound dumbbells for 8 reps.
Wow.
Actually went to this
I have tried lowering the weight and slowing down the tempo for a week or 2. I even have tried like just cutting the weight a lot and just doing like 10, 12 reps. I only got to that 90 pounds with the straight bench press one time. Now I can't even do 80 pounds for more than like 3 reps. I'm progressing in all of my other lifts, so I don't think it has anything to do with nutrition or sleep or anything like that. After running MAPS anabolic, I got my my squat from 155 to 215 for my 3-rep max. And I got my deadlift from 155 to 245 for my 3-rep max.
Wow.
So I just don't know why I can't get my bench up.
That's a great question. And it's not common. Usually it's the other way around.
I actually went through this.
Did you?
Yeah, a small period of time. And for me, it was, I'd used dumbbells a lot more consistently before. And then my technique on my bench press just wasn't as good. And so until I really kind of mastered the technique of the bench press, up until that point, though, I could always do as much on the dumbbells as I could bench press, which I know is not normal.
It's not common.
Yeah.
It's not common. So, okay, before I give you some tips, my question to you is why is this so, I mean, you're progressing in everything else. Is it just that you're dumbfounded and you're like, okay, I want to see this go up as well?
It's not that big of a problem.
Yeah. Are you going to compete? What's the motivation behind wanting to improve this one particular lift?
More like dumbfounded, I guess. Like I am also a trainer, so I do understand that this isn't common, and I can't figure out why. The only thing I plan in competing in is the gym that I work for. We do a competition for charity in February, and it's a deadlifting competition. So people donate $1 for every pound you lift to our local Boys and Girls Club. That's cool. But that's the only competing aspect that I plan on doing.
Okay.
I'm just wondering why I can't lift more with the bar.
It's probably not a strength thing, but rather a technique and skill thing. Although obviously skill and technique play a big role in your strength. Strength is a skill as much as it is your muscles' ability to contract. I would practice on powerlifting technique, activating your lats, arch in your chest, in your back, leg drive, bending the bar, squeezing the bar. And then I would also look at advanced techniques. You've been working out long enough and you're strong enough to now look at things like adding bands to the bar. Yeah. You could go way lighter.
Even the slingshot.
Yeah, you could use a slingshot would do that, right? So a slingshot, Mark Bell sells a device called a slingshot you wear around your arms. And that, for me, has gotten me through sticking points. You could also try pause reps and also adjusting the volume of your training. And then finally, if this is just always an issue for you, because I think you could get your bench press higher. I really do. But if this is always an issue for you, at some point, there's going to be lifts that are just going to be challenges. Everybody has those. And you're so strong and everything else, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I really do think it's a technique thing. But look into adding bands to your lifts. So let's say you work out with 65 pounds. I would go 45 pounds, add some resistance bands to the ends of the bar, anchor them to the bottom, to maybe the bench or whatever. And that type of progressive load with bands tends to get people out of sticking points. It's gotten me tremendous results with myself and my clients.
So first of all, where your bench is at is actually pretty good already. So it's not like you are suffering or way behind, and it's really not that big of a deal. And hopefully this helps, because this is what was going on with me. This was earlier in my trainer career. This is like, I don't know, I'm probably around 24 years old when this is going on. And this is a time where my right side, I have like my shoulders just slightly rolled forward. And so when I'm pressing with dumbbells, it just kind of I could go really deep and it would naturally put me into a better position. When I used the fixed barbell, that right side was always just off a tiny bit. And so I wasn't maximizing the amount of power that I could generate to move more weight. And so the dumbbells always ended up matching my barbell. So it definitely can be a discrepancy from left to right that's going on here, where one side you're in like perfect form and then the other side is off a tiny bit. And that's why when you get into dumbbells, it kind of fixes that for you a little bit. That was what was going on with me, and that helped working on the imbalance from left to right. So a program like Map Symmetry would be probably a really good idea to go through that if you haven't been through that recently. And then the next thing I would advise is actually going through the MAPS Powerlift program, where we get all the high-level coaching just for technique, so you can continue to improve on the bench press technique.
Yeah, the coaching videos would be great.
Because that's really when it came together for me. When I finally kind of balanced everything out, I really got down the technique of getting set up for, this was also the part of my career where I figured out that I had to really prime my upper back and get myself prepared before I went into bench press. Up until that point, I would just go into the bench press and lift and work out. And my first two sets were like my warming up or priming. I realized later on that I actually needed to do that work to balance it out and work on that discrepancy. But those would be the two suggestions I have: is running through symmetry, work on that if there's a left and right, and balance it all, and then going into power lift to get the coaching cues.
The technique is different with the dumbbell bench press than there is with the barbell. With the barbell, you actually use, for lack of a better term, leverage from the bar. When you're lifting with the dumbbells, you're not using your lats to anchor and drive. You're not tucking your elbows like you will with the bench. With the bench, you get a little bit more elbow tuck. You get lat activation. You're bending the bar down as if you're trying to bend it, around your body almost. And it's a different feel versus dumbbells, where the elbows tend to flare out more. That's why bodybuilders sometimes prefer dumbbells because it gets a little more chest focused. So it's probably a technique thing, and then practicing that technique.
Practicing is going to make everything. So frequency, if this is really a focus of yours and being able to work this and weave this into your current programming. So even on your off days, you're doing like very minimal load, if any load at all, even if it's just the bar. And you're just focusing on those like very specific techniques of bending the bar, of, creating that kind of tension throughout your body, driving your legs, and getting it to a position where you get the most vertical path possible. And on top of that, and then you're adding it in of your regular schedule of programming, with load, but just the more times you can touch the bar, throughout the week, and just undulate the intensity of it and the volume, so it's appropriate, you're going to get a lot better at it. It's just a matter of like the more times you introduce it, the better.
That's why I think that's why mass power lift would be really good.
Yeah, have you practiced the powerlifting type of bench and really just nailed down that technique? No. Yeah.
No, I haven't.
That bench press is it's a bit misleading.
People don't realize
it looks like a basic exercise, but the bench press with the barbell is very technical. It's so technical. Powerlifters have mastered the barbell bench press with the technique, and every piece of what they coach contributes to heavier lift. It's actually, it's more technical than a dumbbell chest press is for sure.
Samantha, do you have powerlift or symmetry, either one of those programs?
No, I have anabolic, and I just got Prime Pro. And I just bought my 70-year-old father-in-law MAPS bands.
Oh, awesome.
Nice. Let's send her powerlift.
Yeah, let's do powerlift for sure.
You really want her to do that before symmetry?
I do, because she's so strong with her dumbbells. I don't think her symmetry's off. I think her technique is, and she said she's never practiced.
I think so too.
Powerlifting bench
So
press.
do powerlift, but I do highly recommend doing a cycle of symmetry.
Symmetry would be valuable anyway because you're a trainer.
But definitely do powerlift. I think the coaching techniques, the frequency that Justin's talking about, you're going to get all of that in that program.
Yeah, it'll be all laid out easier.
And just so you know, like I've trained a lot of clients where in the same session, because I changed their technique and their focus, they were able to lift 5 or 10 more pounds in that same session, just because I got them to really activate their lats and drive through their legs and bring their chest up and get that technique. They were able to lift more weight.
Yeah.
So
then you'll be able to respond and have a lot better output.
That's right.
We'll send powerlift over.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, Samantha.
You got it.
Right.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, I went through this. So there was a period of time where my dumbbells matched my barbell bench press. And a lot of it had to do with that. Like I was saying, like I was remember I identified as like the bodybuilder shaping guy. So I didn't care about having a big bench press. Right. So dumbbells already, I felt it more in my chest. So I would already gravitate that way. And then my technique wasn't there. And so it just took me catching up with the technique, working on my left.
Yeah, you're not going to brace with your lats with the dumbbells like with a ball. You can't. If you do, it's going to actually put you in a bad position with dumbbells. But because you have a bar, you're actually creating leverage off the bar. Like try bending dumbbells, you just end up twisting them, right? You do that with a bar and you activate your lats, you actually create leverage and stabilize the shoulder girdle, and then you lift more weight. And then what's going to happen, she'll practice that, and at first it's going to feel awkward. Yeah. But then as she practices that skill, her strength will start to propel.
Yeah, completely different animal.
Our next caller is Dean from Oregon.
What's up, Dean?
How you doing, Dean?
How can we help you?
Hey! What's crack-a-lackin', boys?
How you doing, man?
Not much.
What's going down?
First and foremost, I needed to redeem myself. I called in like a year ago, and I got cut off, and I got trolled by you guys pretty good. So I needed to clarify. I got cut off right as I was saying I love you guys' podcast, and it just said I love you. So it was a great troll, and I appreciate it very much. So I just needed to clarify
we love you
before
too.
Dean,
we get much further.
Listen, don't be embarrassed. You can love us.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Guys, what can you do?
No
brotherly
duty.
love.
No
What can you
duty.
do?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What you got for us, man?
So, question about maintenance. Last time I asked about cutting and bulking. So, normally I go like a bulk in the wintertime and then cut down in the summertime, that kind of swing. But I never really go like a maintenance phase. when's like a good time to like switch to a maintenance, or is it better just do like a full bulk, a full cut? Like when's
maintenance should be when you are at where your goal is.
And also, maintenance is also a myth anyway.
You're right. You're always either cutting or bulking. You're technically never in a pure maintenance.
It's just maintenance is you're just
trying to hover around.
You're trying to hover, and so it's a little bit of a bulk, a little bit of a cut, a little bit of a bulk, but it's a myth anyway. The difference between maintenance and a bulk and a cut is they're intentional. So a bulk is intentional, a cut is intentional. Yeah. I mean, for longevity, for health, for getting your mind off of always trying to focus on moving in a particular direction, maintenance is great.
This is where you should be most of the time.
That's right.
You really should be in a maintenance most of the time, and then you have these mini sprints where you cut or bulk.
Yeah, that's it.
You should be trying to figure out, okay, my body is happy around these calories. When I eat around these calories, I don't really put on much body fat at all. I don't really get that much leaner. I feel satisfied food-wise. That's what we would consider your quote-unquote maintenance, where you should probably live most of the time. And then you have your, we got in 4 weeks, you're taking off to Vegas for the summer. So, hey, let's run a cut. Or, hey, it's wintertime. I'm about to hit Thanksgiving and I know I'm going to overeat on some calories. So I'm going to throw myself in a bulk and intentionally gain a little bit. Like that's kind of how it should look like most of the time is something like that.
Yeah, I do a cut or a bulk when I get bored. So when I start to get bored and I want to just, change things up, that's when I tend to do it. Otherwise, maintenance it's where you're going to live most of the time. And
you could technically, in a maintenance, you can technically continue to body recomp. You could get leaner. You can build a little bit of muscle.
One way or the other.
Yeah, because to Sal's point of what he means by it's a myth is that your body is either one of two things always. It is either anabolic or catabolic, meaning that if you're in a calorie surplus momentarily, you're anabolic. Your body is primed to build muscle or potentially store fat. If your body is catabolic, which means you're in a caloric deficit, your body is primed to lose body fat and or possibly muscle. So you're either one or the other all the time. You're never at a place where you're not doing either one. It's always that's why it's kind of a myth is that. And if you do a good job of hanging around what we call maintenance, there's moments of time in that
like
week.
Plus or minus.
That's right. You're plus or minus a little bit. And so, you could always be leaning out a little bit, adding a little bit of muscle, but maintaining. That's kind of what maintenance is. And you should be there most of your time, and then you have these moments in your year where you do these short stints of cutting or bulking.
Gotcha that. Yeah, that's I was just kind of curious whether it was like if you because it's always been like winter bulk, like a slight bulk, like try to gain like a pound a month, and then like summertime, like I guess like more rapid than that, and then kind of, I guess, be maintaining in the summertime, but that makes sense to just do like little spurts, little sprints of it.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is good too, because wintertime is when all the holidays happen. It's also when you tend to cover yourself up, and so bulking in the winter just makes sense from a cultural, behavioral standpoint.
Logistics. Yeah.
Yep.
We've got a.
Gotcha. So we got another one. Time for another one.
Well, go ahead. Let's hear it.
Perfect. So I've been running you guys' programs just consistently, like I go straight from one to the other. And I don't know if it's just like getting older and like being in construction, getting a little beat up on stuff, but it's like just getting nagging aches and pains. And like my lifts, like I'm doing power lift. I'm on the last phase of power lift, just starting it. But I don't know, like my numbers are like, I ran it last year and I'm way off of what I was. And it feels like a drag. Like just random things will start hurting. And then it's like, okay, I got to take it easy on that. So then I try to like focus on something else. And it's not like major injuries, it's just like nagging. Like right now it's been like
pressure in the hinges. Yeah.
It sounds like you're super.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like you're super consistent.
Yeah.
And if you're going program to program, back to back, you might be doing high volume programs back to back.
I was gonna say it'd be fine if you. When was the last time you ran symmetry or performance? When was the last time you ran
or math 15?
Yes.
Have you ran any of those?
I've done split, power lift. What's the other one?
Let me guess.
Aesthetic,
yeah, they're all
anabolic advanced.
Yeah, bro. You didn't name one of the three that we said you should. Every year, okay. Here's a good rule. Also, talking about here's a good. Like we talked about cutting, and a good rule with that. A good rule in your programming is you need to have at least one program a year needs to be focused on kind of taking care of all those things, which would be symmetry, performance, and or something like MAPS 15. That and what's great about that is that it's not gonna slow down your progress. It's only going to accelerate it. But you should have a program that is more focused on that unilateral type work, mobility type of work, reducing volume like MAPS 15. One of those three need to be in the rotation every single year. That should just be a thing you plan always, especially if your body's talking to you like it is right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned getting older. How old are you?
39.
Shut up. You're fine, dude.
Yeah.
You got one more year.
It's not the years, it's the miles.
I don't know what these guys are talking about. That starts happening for sure, 30s, and I started noticing stuff like that.
Yeah, especially if you have a labor-intensive job on top of that.
Yeah.
No, you did a high-volume program after high-volume program is what you're doing. I think
I have Prime and I have Prime Pro, but I don't know if it's like paralysis by analysis. Like, I get a little overwhelmed with that one. Like I like the scheduled program. Like it says to do this many reps, this many, and I get a little overwhelmed with that one. So I'm not really good about that.
let me help you.
I guess I should go.
Let me help you. Do MAPS 15. Do the barbell version of it. Okay. So do MAPS 15 barbell version, and then add 2 or 3 mobility movements from Prime Pro for whatever area you're looking at. Start your workout out with that, and then do the MAPS 15 barbell workout. So you're looking at probably a 30-minute workout, about 6 days a week. Okay. And you should see your strength start to take off by week 1 or 2, actually.
Okay. I have blocked out 70 minutes on the weekdays for working out. So what else?
Mobility and walking. So Sal said pick 2 or 3, which I know that might not do well for you because he's not telling you what to do. You could literally pick 2 exercises from Prime Pro, 1 in lower body, 1 in upper body.
Okay.
And you do that. So pick 1 lower body mobility movement, 1 upper body mobility movement. Do that before you do this. So you have 70 minutes. So do that before you train. Do your 15-minute, which is actually about 25-minute workout because you're doing the advanced version, and then walk on the treadmill the rest of the time. That's a perfect workout for you. Yep. That right there is going to progress you.
Yeah. Shoulder circles, 90-90s.
You got it, dude.
Got it. We're sending over MAPS 15 to you, Dean.
Real quick, Dean, before we hang up. Before we hang up, I love you.
My pump loves you.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy, man.
Thanks, guys. You're amazing.
See ya.
You got to say no Diddy after you say I love you.
Is that how it goes?
That's the new thing. Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. No, it's. I knew he did high volume after high volume.
Yeah. All the super intense.
That'll happen anybody.
Called it.
That'll happen anybody.
And then if you're in labor job too, it's just going to exacerbate.
Yeah, it's cumulative. You have your acute stress, and then there's cumulative stress, and it's like little by little it chips away your body's ability to recover and adapt, and you start. It's exactly what he said. Like, I did this program before. All of a sudden, I just can't respond. And I knew when we asked him what programs, he's like split, aesthetic.
Maybe make a note, Doug. This would be a good fitness tip for Sal that we can talk a little bit about an intro about, because I know we've mentioned it a few times, but maybe we cover it in a topic where every year I think someone should do one of those 3 programs.
Yeah, we need those interrupter programs.
Yeah, and so explaining that. So maybe we'll go on a fitness tip like that. I think that'll be a good topic.
By the way, we are running a sale this month on some workout programs. MAPS Aesthetic and MAPS Symmetry, both very popular programs, both 50% off. If you're interested, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com, but use the code December50 for the discount. All right, here comes the show.
Our next caller is Chris from Colorado.
What's up, Chris?
What's
up, buddy?
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're doing good, man.
Good. I appreciate you taking my call. I've been listening for, I'd say 2017 I started listening, so it's been a good long while. I appreciate all the content.
Awesome, dude.
All right.
Thank you.
OG.
So I'll just go ahead and get into it. So I've heard you guys talk many times, and I agree with all that you say about the many obvious benefits of lifting weights for health, longevity, for strength, hypertrophy, and many other great effects. I don't know if I've specifically heard you guys talk about sprinting and how that can help with longevity and health as well. So a little background, my personal experience is I'm a former college football player. After college, I got into CrossFit for a while, and then just sort of into not necessarily bro, but more bodybuilding, less athletic training. I got to a point where I realized that I couldn't be athletic anymore because I hadn't done anything athletic in so long, and it made me a little sick. So I wanted to get back into that style of training. So I reintroduced sprinting. I reintroduced plyometrics. I reintroduced Olympic lifts, power version specifically. So power cleans, power snatches. And I saw a lot of really good benefits from strength increasing. I noticed like, just your basic compound lifts, presses, back squats, front squats, deadlifts, the movements felt simpler and easier. And I even had some kind of lower back and hip discomfort, pain sort of resolve themselves. So really my question is, how would you guys suggest some just average person get back into sprinting and more athletic styles of training? And why would you suggest that just for any given person from a longevity perspective, from a muscle building perspective, it would be a good idea to try and get to a point where you can sprint again?
Love this question.
Yeah, this is also
twitch.
This is also why we created Mass Performance.
Yeah.
This is and why we recommend it to everybody at least once a year to run that program.
Power is the ultimate expression of strength. It's the most technical, ultimate expression of strength. It also requires the most skill and the best technique, right? Because if you move a heavy weight slow, and then if you move it fast, the risk of injury is exponentially higher with moving it fast because it's so much more technical. You know this being an athlete, right? You know, if I squat slow, it's fine. If I jump with the bar on my back, I got to be really good with my technique, or I can hurt myself. So this is the challenge this is the challenge with power training in the average person. It gets
more complex.
Yeah, and so now here's the deal with sprinting. Sprinting is power. It's a strength training movement. Even though it's running, you are building strength in the lower body. And running, to be clear, just to be very clear for everybody, the human body, it really does two things exceptionally well. Or to put it differently, it evolved or was designed to do two things exceptionally well. One of them is throw with accuracy. The other one is to run. Okay, we're actually built, if you look at our knee joints and our hips and our glute muscles and all that, we're built to run. The problem is we lose that skill, and most people don't even have that skill. They stop running when they're 10, so then they decide they're going to go sprint, and it's like, no, you're going to hurt yourself. So the value of strength training is it's safer and more protective, traditional strength training for the average person. Now, if I train somebody long enough and they're consistent and I'm seeing that they're improving and they've got good technique, then I'll slowly start to move them into power, start to move them into this expression of strength, because this is where you want to go. The problem is not everybody has the time, energy, focus to be able to do so, because it does require that, that again, that level of attention and skill. It was hard enough for me to get the average person just to strength train twice a week consistently, let alone start introducing power type stuff. But I mean, if you do it and you do it right, you're going to activate fast twitch muscle fibers like nothing else, and you will see gains straight up, 100%.
Yeah, establishing strength stability first. I mean, that's the things we need support around the joints. Then adding more load resistance for that base support, foundational strength, and then we add on acceleration. And there's ways to do that too, and to get triple extension and to get these sort of full body movements that I do find very valuable. And I'm with you on that in terms of, being an athlete and then kind of realizing like it quickly goes away in terms of over time, if you're not practicing this continuously, and it leaves you open and susceptible for your everyday average kind of injury. And this is something we try and stress this a lot because as much as we weight train and as strong as we get, if we don't have that reactive strength, if we don't have that ability to withstand forces where things are you're moving at an accelerated pace, and now I have to react appropriately and respond. If I'm not training myself to do that, I'm doing myself a disservice even as I age. And so, there's ways to do this in terms of like progressive jumps. Obviously, jumping is one of those areas where we could handle that without load and really get that kind of accelerated movement and progressively kind of work on our technique with running to build up to a sprint. So there's a progressive way to do that in a pursuit, but this is why we kind of, to Adam's point, we program that into MAPS Performance to give people a way to progressively work into that accelerated exercise.
Chris, you've been listening to us for over 7 years. What MAPS programs have you ran?
I think you guys can see I don't have any MAPS programs. Yeah. I've always followed.
It's always crazy when someone 7 years been listening, you're asking a question that we have a program that we've answered it for you, and you went after doing this all on your own. You could have just ran MAPS Performance and got everything you wanted to as far as laying a foundation. That's why it's there, brother.
Yeah,
we're gonna send it to you for free.
You're gonna report back too. Yeah. I'm curious to see what you think.
Yeah, I mean, and,
sure,
again, and the other thing too, Chris, is what you stop doing, your body forgets how to do. And that's just a fact. So
yeah.
So, but I want to be very clear: strength training doesn't make you less athletic. Okay, strength training improves your strength, which contributes to athleticism. So to give you an example, because sometimes people are like, oh, I lifted weights and then I lost my athleticism. I'll give you two scenarios. One scenario, you do what you did, which is you did bodybuilding. The other scenario is you did nothing. Which one do you think would have caused worse athleticism? Right? The one that you did nothing. So, yeah.
I mean, I wonder, just to ask, I guess. So, for example, if I continued to lift weights, or let's say I continued to lift weights, I continue to get stronger, but I never do anything athletic. Do you think you'd be more likely to injure yourself going to play basketball?
Of course.
Than if you just sat around and never did anything and then went.
Yeah, you would have just, you know what would have happened? You would have got weaker. You would have had no stamina, no strength, and so the risk of injury is still there. Because you're strong, but it's better. I mean, that's just a fact. Like you take somebody, take the average person who doesn't work out at all, push them over. Take a bodybuilder, push them over, who's more likely to get hurt. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better.
Someone with your athletic background, if you ran MAPS Performance once a year, that's all you did, and then did whatever else you wanted to do the rest of the year, you would be fine.
Yeah,
that's literally what that program's designed for. That's why we tell everybody to run at least a cycle of it. If you care about these things, right? If you want to be able to sprint, if you want to be able to run a mile, if you want to have mobility in all the different planes, like if you want those things, which I think is a healthy, smart thing to do, you run that once a year and you'll maintain that. And that's a perfect foundation for you. We progressively take you through all 4 phases. Yeah. Justin was explaining them in detail, but that's how we wrote that program.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's not, you're not trying to tackle it all at once. And so this is my challenge as far as, like, I understand why the appeal of CrossFit is there, and, to be able to do these types of like Olympic lifts and explosive movement. But my challenge is to do that in a way that it's a progressive, well thought out, blocked out focus of, this is my adaptation I'm seeking. I'm building strength support. I'm building that way to generate force, and then from there too, now I've actually built my body to the point where I can handle a lot of force, and now I'm going to apply that force, and I'm going to be diligent about the amount of load that I introduce. And so again, it's all laid out in the program, and you could see the difference of it, and you could feel the difference of it.
Sure.
Doug's going to send that over to you, Chris. So now you got it.
Well, thank you very much. I wasn't calling for free program, but I do appreciate it. I just was wanting to hear you guys sort of riff on benefits of sprinting. So I appreciate it.
Please run it. Run it.
Yeah, run it.
I like converting people from CrossFit. So that's my goal in life.
Yeah. Oh, I've been away from CrossFit for many years now, but I appreciate it, guys. I thank you very much.
You got it, man. Thank you. To be clear too, with what I said about strength training, it's proper strength training. So could you get stronger with improper strength training and increase your risk of injury? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you could. but proper meaning full range of motion, multiple planes of movement.
You wouldn't if you run.
Then you're better off than you were. Then you of course
you run a cycle this every year, and that takes care of that.
That does.
That's the whole point of that program and what we've been talking about for such a long time. And it's always crazy to me when you have somebody who's been listening for 7 years.
Yeah, don't send it to him for free, Doug. Just give him a discount. 10% off. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it was 60% off just 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? She's like, you take it less than a tank of gas, guy. Come on. So, you know, the one thing though, I hope he runs it. I mean, if you appreciate that type of training, then hopefully you'll appreciate the work that we put into creating something like that. So somebody has that they can always lean on, like, hey man, I don't want to lose these skills and I want to age well and be able to still run, sprint, move in different planes and not get hurt.
That's it.
You run
That's
that
how
once
you do it.
You'll be good.
Our next caller is Kayla from South Carolina.
Kayla, welcome back.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome.
Good. Thanks so much for having me back on. As you know, I sent in an update and a follow-up and really just a thank you to you guys. I was on the show about a year ago. And when we spoke last year, my question was, are my spin classes that I teach ruining or hindering my progress with my goal to build muscle and strength? So at the time I was teaching 4 spin classes a week. They are pretty intense. It's sweat cycle, so hot spinning. In addition to that, I was in the gym lifting about 5 days a week and eating around maintenance about 2,000 calories. So you guys had recommended trying to cut those classes back to 1 or 2 per week, increasing calories a couple hundred, and switching to more of a MAPS anabolic type split with my workouts. So at the time, Sal, you had asked about health and anything along those lines, and I had loosely mentioned that my husband and I were not trying to conceive another child. We have one now healthy 8-year-old boy. So I'd mentioned that very lightly without really getting into it on the show, but I took your guys' advice. I cut my spin classes from 4 down to 1 to 2 per week. I changed to MAPS anabolic, and I was still in the gym, usually 5 days a week, but focusing on walking, trigger sessions, and increased calories to about 2,200. So within about 6 weeks of doing that, I was pregnant for the first time in 2 years. We had been trying for about 5.5 years. I'd gotten pregnant twice before that. And unfortunately, those all ended up being ectopic pregnancies. So February of this year, it was very exciting to know that fertility was not our struggle and that I was most likely overtraining, under eating, and that was probably hurting my hormones. So unfortunately, that one did end up being our 3rd ectopic pregnancy. But it was good to know that we didn't have to keep going through testing with fertility. And we really came to peace with, okay, if we are meant to have another child, naturally we will. If not, we are so blessed to have one, and just really decided to let go and come to peace with that. So fast forward to July, I continued that same lifestyle, the increase in calories, cut back on the training because I knew it was working for me. And I found out I was pregnant. I am a little over 6 months pregnant today with a healthy baby boy on the way in March. So
it's awesome.
Thank you so much. So yeah, just wanted to thank you guys. I had great progress with anabolic, didn't gain weight, of course, before pregnancy, and built some muscle, gained some strength, and just your guys' permission and advice to really move toward that lifestyle and stop overtraining. And with the extra time from not doing my spin classes, I decided to pursue my NASM certification. So I'm officially certified to start training as well. So thank you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely appreciate everything. Don't really have much of a question, but any suggestions for continuing training throughout pregnancy, postpartum, and then any advice as a new trainer who I'm definitely dealing with a little imposter syndrome, just being pregnant while becoming a trainer, and then go into really start taking clients postpartum. So any advice you guys have to offer is appreciated.
Don't miss any of the webinars that Sal and I do every other month. So if you're not in our course already and you speak of imposter syndrome, it's something that we address at the very beginning of that course because it's common. It's
trainerwebinar.com, and we do them every other month. You're going to find them, super valuable. As far as for you personally, during pregnancy, you're not trying to make any gains whatsoever. And you're really, really, really being gentle and listening to your body, mainly because, well, first, all the progress you made leading up to pregnancy is what you just want to kind of keep. Okay. And your body's changing. I don't need to tell you this, but your body's changing. Muscle recruitment patterns are going to change, especially as the baby grows, which means your core stability is going to change. There's going to be less activation of some muscles, more of others. So you just want to kind of be chill, keep yourself moving, really listen to your body, be okay with taking time off if you don't feel good. Postpartum, less is more. You got muscle memory on your side, okay? So when you get cleared to exercise, MAPS starter is what you would do. I don't care how fit and strong you feel. Do MAPS starter. Start there. Okay. Yep. And then you're in this really great place. There's a huge need in the market for female trainers who work with women pre, during, and postpartum. It is a massive market that's underserved. So much value. And I would say of all the good trainers that are out there, 10% of them know how to do this. So it's an underserved market. So if you really get into this on training women pre, during, and post, you could build your whole career out of this. Whole niche there. Yeah, sure. it's and they just don't get, because even the good trainers tend to view or train pregnant women as if they're just I'm just training a woman. It's very different. It's very different.
And I can't stress enough how common the situation that you went through is for women. And so somebody it's hard for us three dudes to get that across. It's awesome when you have somebody who listens like you did.
Yes.
But you will be able to get to those women even better than we can because you've experienced 100%. It yourself. And so there's a lot of people out there that you can help that literally went through or going through or have gone through exactly what you went through, and you knew how important it was to do that. So that'll be very powerful in itself, and you could literally just stay in that lane and be very successful. But a lot of this stuff, this is the type of stuff that we talk about in the course. So I'll be excited to see you on the webinar calls, and we'll be able to take you through all that.
Yeah, and you look so healthy. I remember you from when we talked to you. You look so healthy right now. So that's awesome.
Very cool.
Thank you. Thanks.
Very cool.
I appreciate that. For the training, are there specific certifications that you guys recommend beyond my CPT to really get into that niche with women?
NASM has exceptional courses that span massive span of courses.
Yeah, they're corrective.
Yes, correctional exercise is always valuable.
The next investment I would make would be in our course, though, because of what you're going to get. Because NASM already lays a solid foundation. If you're going to go out and spend anything and invest in anything, I would do our course. And then not only that, but then you're with us, right? So every month we are communicating and mentoring and helping develop those trainers. So there's a lot going on in that private forum with all the coaches.
Are you going to be training in a big? Are you training at the gym, the big box gym that you're in?
So it is a privately owned gym, but yes, that's where I will start training. And I let them know I had a rough first trimester, so I wasn't quite ready when I first got certified. But once I started getting back into my own consistent lifting, I let them know that I was ready when they were, but they just don't have the volume right now. So they said after the new year, I'm due in March. So, I mean, summer is probably going to be the earliest that I'll be able to.
Our course will really help you build your business. And then if you want to look at for like education stuff, and you can find a lot of this online, pelvic floor, postpartum exercise, that kind of stuff will help.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me back on.
Yeah, great catching up, Kelly.
Yeah, congratulations.
Great story.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, that's awesome.
I love that.
That's so awesome.
I had 4 clients in my career that were like that.
This is so
where
common.
they were women that were like fertility issues.
Yeah.
And just through backing off the volume, increasing their calories, getting them to sleep better, pregnant.
World of difference.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible.
That's why I think she's got an entire business just speaking to what she's experienced. Totally. I mean, there's a whole host. I mean, and it's tough, being 3 guys trying to, you know, how many times have you sat across and you just know it's like going in one ear and out the other? It's like, she's not listening.
You don't understand.
Yeah,
You're
she's
not living in my body.
Yeah, she's not. She's not gonna listen to what I'm saying right now. So it's always nice when you get somebody like that, because we never know too. We only get a little 8 minutes maybe with these people to tell them what we think, and it's like how many of them actually go and then go apply it. So excited. That's super exciting.
All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat for men. This is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.